Welcome to the Sunday night market recap. I'm your host, Bobby Bones. It's June 8th, 2025, year of our Lord. Hope everybody's doing well tonight.
In a world of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act.
Yeah. So I wanted to get on tonight and go over some of the numbers, some of the things that went on in the week, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in and checking out my show. So anyway, let's get into it. Gold was a little flat on the week. It is up. It started out the week at $3,313, and we settled at $3,331. So we had a nice little gain of 18% up on the week. Also, silver had a breakout week this week, starting out at $33.07 per ounce and rising to $36.13 per ounce on the week. I have been telling my listeners and viewers for the past couple of months to go and load up on silver, load up on physical silver and silver mining stocks, because I have been saying that they're going to close the 100 to 1 ratio, and it looks like that is taking place because silver has gone up $3, over $3 in 1 week, which is a huge move. I also stated that gold will continue to rise as well. So look, if you can't afford $3,300 gold, buy $33 silver or $36 silver, because I believe you're going to get more bang for your buck anyway. Look into the futures. Futures are up tonight for the precious metal market. Let's look at the mining stocks. The GDX started out the week at $50.65 and landed almost exactly $1 higher at $51.61 per ounce. The dollar, so that's up $1 per share on the week. Futures are also pointing down, which could give you a great opportunity to buy some more shares at a little bit of discount. Now listen, don't wait for the low point. I think the GDX, I think the floor is at $50. So, I think now is the time to get in, especially with all the extra money printing and the big, beautiful bill. I believe precious metals is where you want to park some of your money. Also, tonight, looking at the GDXJ, that also got a bid on the week. It started out the week at $65.32 per ounce, and it landed at $69 for the week. So that was a big move up. That's a $4 move up per share. Look into the futures tonight. Same thing. It's kind of flat. It's been kind of bopping around. So again, these are the stocks that I have been telling my listeners and followers to purchase. So I want to look at a silver stock, PanAm Silver, or PAAS is the call letters, which started out the week at $24.10, and it had a great move up, going to $28.65 per share. These are huge moves for this sector, and I am advising everyone again to expose themselves into these mining stocks, as I believe we could see incredible gains as investors move out of the dollar, move out of risk assets, and into sound defensive stocks, especially as the government and Federal Reserve continue to do the wrong thing by printing more money, borrowing more money, spending more than we have, and misallocating resources. Speaking of the dollar was bopping around all week, up and down, and it started out the week at 99.440, and it settled again another week lower at 99.202. So since Trump's Liberation Day, the dollar is now down over 11%. Remember that when Trump's created Liberation Day, all the experts on TV, all the eggheads, the administration, everybody who was happy and horny for us to, go after all the bad guys who are ripping us off around the country, they were saying how this was going to be great for the dollar, and that everybody's going to be buying more treasuries and all of this, and that has just not panned out. And the dollar since Liberation Day has lost 11% since Liberation Day. That is a huge move down. So I was saying when Trump launched Liberation Day that this is going to be bad for the dollar, bad for risk assets. And that's why every time Trump comes out with another, pretend best deal in the world on trade, you see the stock market go up, you see the dollar go up, right? You see precious metals go down. But then what happens is once traders understand that these are kind of BS deals, like there's another BS deal coming this week apparently with China. Again, I'm predicting, a matter of fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this time traders have to catch on eventually, that we're getting shafted. So we're not going to see $200-$300 move up. I'm betting that we could see 200 and 300 points down as traders finally catch on that we are actually getting the worst of all these trade deals. And to prove my point a little bit more, let's take a look at the 10-year Treasury and 30-year Treasury markets. Because again, they moved up on the week. The 10-year Treasury started out at 4.38% and landed at 4.506%. I mean, again, moving up. Now, they haven't had the moves that I thought that they would have yet. But again, there are still a lot of traders out there that believe falsely that all of these tariffs are great for the United States and great for the dollar and, all this business is going to come back to the United States, when in fact, it's going to have the opposite effect. Let's look at the 30-year Treasury, which also rose on the week and started out the week at 49.29% and landed at 49.66. Again, not a massive move up, but again, still slowly creeping up. And, this gives you more reason to protect yourself. Again, this means higher interest rates on longer rates, higher debt, as the Fed loses control of the Treasury market. Because the government is going to be forced to borrow more money, print more money because of the out-of-control spending of both parties. But especially now with Trump and the Republicans trying to pass the big, beautiful bill. Let's take a look at the Dow for the week. So the Dow pushed higher on the jobs report while Wall Street celebrated 139 jobs supposedly created while ignoring the 95,000 downward revisions for March and April. Traders were also overlooking the household survey, which reveals a loss of 623,000 full-time jobs, partially offset by 33,000 part-time jobs. So while the mainstream is pretending that we're creating all these jobs, well, actually, they're not looking deeper into the numbers. So again, the Biden economy continues with destroying full-time jobs and replacing them with part-time jobs. I firmly believe that once investors catch up to the data, the stock market will sell off again, and which got a bid this week. So let's take a look at the Dow and the S&P and how they did for the week. Because again, they caught a bid based on these fake numbers. Anyway, so the Dow started out at 42,278. and landed at 42,762. So again, that's a nice move up for the week. It's a 1.3% on the week, and the futures tonight look higher, but I'm guessing, look, we have inflation numbers coming out. We have this trade deal that Trump is now putting out over the weekend with China. I'm going to make a guess that even though maybe inflation still comes down a percentage, maybe it'll be kind of flat. Maybe Trump puts out a trade deal with China. I'm betting the Dow sells off a little bit this week because they're going to have to face the fact that the job numbers are BS, and so are these trade deals. So look into the S&P. It started out the week at 5,913, and it caught a bid landing at 6,010 with futures looking up. Okay? Now listen, I hope that you're enjoying the show so far. If you could, please hit the little subscribe button. I'm adding new subscribers all the time. And my goal is to be able to go live on YouTube and really reach more people. Give them more free economic, constitutional perspective. Something that I believe is sadly missing in the media. So my goal is to reach more people and help spread this voice. And look, if you're on YouTube and you're not on my X, please go to x.com/brewmedia. Follow me on X. I'm again, that's a brand new social media site. I'm starting to get a lot of traction on there, and I hope that you come join me. And now back to the show. So the next story, I wanted to talk about something else that's been bothering me. Excuse me. And it's been happening for a long time. Is that what happens is, we get these jobs numbers that come in, and they originally are beats, but then later on we find out that they were actually misses. So far, all 4 months of the Trump administration has shown beats at first on the headline numbers, but then completely misses when we get the revisions. And nobody in the financial media covers the misses. They all focus on the phony beats. And this has allowed the administration, Wall Street, and eggheads to claim credit for a strong economy that we do not have. In economics, there's something called the seen and unseen. Politicians like Trump or Biden love to take photo ops in front of the cameras when they are creating protectionist policies like putting 20% or 50% tariffs on imported steel and aluminum to show, look at all these jobs that we've created. They like to stand with, party leaders, labor union bosses, and employees of those companies to show the few jobs that they've saved. What are never seen are all the jobs that are destroyed as a result of those protectionist policies, like in construction, autos, or manufacturing due to the higher prices that consumers and companies now have to pay for those products. And I bring that up because just the other day, Scott Besson was asked, and you got to follow this, Scott Besson was asked, how do these steel tariffs affect the housing industry and building industry as a whole? And Scott Besson said he's not sure about how it will affect the housing industry, but he knows how it will affect the steel industry. And that's the point. In the short term, it helps the steel industry by being able to charge more money for their steel, but it hurts the builders in the long run as they have to lay off people and stop future projects due to the hiring cost. Again, there's no photo ops when a builder calls uncle and says, hey, I'm not going to build all this stuff because I can't afford the metal to build it. If you got to put steel beams or whatever, all of those prices have gone up. Again, from a free market libertarian standpoint, government has no business picking winners and losers because they always take credit for the jobs created, but they never take blame for the unintended consequences of their policies. And just to kind of put this into perspective, the ISM service sector numbers retracted, so did manufacturing, and yet the media, administration, eggheads, CNBC, Bloomberg Television, all the experts are on TV constantly lying to you about the strength of the economy. I have been saying now for the past 18 months, almost 2 years, this is a completely stealth economy, and it's showing up in the precious metal markets, the foreign investing, all sorts of different areas where you buy valued assets. All the valued assets have been showing, especially precious metals, how stealth of a recession that this is as we continue to trade full-time jobs for part-time. If the government was so strong, then it wouldn't need, and think about this, it would not need another $5 trillion in federal stimulus and begging the Federal Reserve to lower rates. What the government doesn't understand is that it will be the stimulus that ultimately destroys the economy when we have a dollar crisis and a sovereign debt crisis. And, that really is what's going to happen. That's my prediction. I'm predicting eventually we're going to have a dollar crisis or a sovereign debt crisis. Here's the truth. If we're being intellectually honest, we know we cannot pay for the government that we have. The last thing a country should be doing as it's having its credit rating drop, as we're blowing over $2 trillion a year in deficits, that is the country that does not deserve tax relief. That is a country that needs to cut government. So it's not that we're not taxing our people enough. It's that we have too much government. And that's the problem, which is going to lead me into my next story, which is the Trump and Elon breakup. And I really, I really don't have a feeling whether, regardless if Trump or Elon get back together or not. But, just to kind of break this down real quick, the entire reason why Elon blew up at Trump and Republicans is because he knows in his heart that this bill is going to raise the deficits. It's going to make the dollar weaker. It's going to explode the Treasury market, and that Trump's policies are going to eventually hurt all of Elon's businesses, but not only Elon's businesses, but all of our businesses as well. And, so, Elon is right for calling that out. Now, I seen on X that Elon was talking about starting a third party, and that, that the party's going to be like in the middle of Republicans and Democrats. And here's the thing. I don't want to be in the middle of Republicans and Democrats, because both parties have been doing the wrong thing now for 50 years. What Elon should do is join the Libertarian Party. They've already got a foundation. They, already, can get on the ballot. And to be quite frank, we are the only party that, is for real fiscal sanity, right? We believe that government doesn't have a right to steal from one group to give to another. I don't only want to remove what Trump said. Trump said he was thinking about removing Elon's, EV subsidies and all this. I don't only want to remove the EV subsidies. I also want to remove the oil subsidies, the healthcare subsidies, all of this nonsense to prop up, chosen favorite donor companies, the corporate masters of both parties, right? It's not helping America. It's like, I told a story a few months ago how Walmart, how they get around from showing that they're firing people while getting tons of corporate welfare. What they do is they'll just say, hey, they'll give them a notice like in North Carolina and say, hey, go move to California. And if you don't move, That's too bad. And they don't count those people as fired when they close that store. They say, hey, we offered them a job, they just couldn't make it. You know, it's just like with Tesla and Elon's companies. You know, every one of Elon's companies gets a little corporate welfare, and every single one has laid off people over the past 18 months. You know, same thing with Meta, same thing with all the big corporations that are collecting tons of welfare. You know, there's nothing in the welfare that says, hey, you know, you cannot fire people, right? And so, look, as a libertarian, you know, I don't believe government should be picking winners and losers, right? I believe if you start a business, right, your labor is your labor, your money is your money, right? And the taxes that we collect should be for the general fund of the government, not to pay people to sit home or to pay the richest people on the planet, right, to go and have a party with it and do whatever with it, right? Our tax money should be our government should be so small we could barely see it, right? That's the philosophy of the Libertarian Party. So I again, my opinion on Elon and Trump is that whether or not if they get back together or not, we have to deal with the administration that we have right now. And right now, Republicans, Mike Johnson, and the Republicans, including Trump, pushing the big beautiful bill, is going to add $4.5 to $7 trillion to the deficit. You know, and yeah, we might get a little spurt of growth, but that growth is not going to pay for the discount in taxes that they're going to collect. And I believe they're going to have a hard time over the next 3 years to find buyers for all this new debt. Not only the new debt that they're creating, but all the debt now that's going to be rolled over the next year and a half. So I want to give a little closing statement. I want to wish everybody great prosperity. Go out there, go support independent media. Even if you don't support my channel, you know, there's a lot of great people out there giving good, sound advice, good, sound economic principles. Look, you might not have to agree with me, and I might not have to agree with you all the time, but I respect your opinion, and I hope to see you out there. You know, so again, if you're on X, go to youtube.com/AppRoomMedia, right? And if you're on YouTube, go to my X account at x.com/BrewMedia. Now, next week, I'm going to go live in Myrtle Beach regarding the protests that are taken up. I'm going to go to City Hall. It's going to be my first, basically, interviewing other people. I really hope that you come and join my channel. You know, I want to hear all sides and all perspectives. I want to give everyone a voice, even if I agree with you or not. My goal isn't to really shut people down. It is to give voice to the people, right? Because that's what the media is supposed to do. I believe in the First Amendment, and I'm going to defend it with every fiber of my being. I appreciate you, and I wish you great success. God bless and take care. Have a great week. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.